You won't believe what happened in a tiny Brazilian town. No news station covered it properly. No history book mentioned it. But dozens of people saw something not human. A UFO crashed. The military showed up within minutes. And what they did next? They tried to erase everything, except the fear, except the memories. Silenced witnesses, missing doctors, a captured creature, and the stench of a cover-up that still lingers. In this video, we'll show you real and forgotten photos from Brazil's own Roswell, the one the media tried to bury. But the truth? It clawed its way back. They call it the Varginha incident. But what if it's all true? On the early morning of January 13th, 1996, residents of Varginha, a small town in Brazil, heard a strange noise from the sky. It wasn't thunder or a plane. It was something different, like the air itself being ripped open. Witnesses claimed to see a metallic object flying low, releasing smoke, heading toward a rural area. It didn't make the news, but the Brazilian Air Force has it on record. Just hours later, a local farmer discovered burn marks on the ground and scorched vegetation. Strangely, animals were panicking. Dogs barked non-stop, and local radios had heavy interference. What fell there? A UFO? A military experiment? Authorities stayed silent, but the town never forgot. Because what happened next was even stranger. And that sits when things started spinning out of control. On January 20th, 1996, three young girls, Liliane, Valkyria, and Katia, were walking through an empty lot in the Jardim André neighborhood. Suddenly, they froze. Dead silence. In the corner behind a wall, a crouching creature, brown skin, glowing red eyes, an oversized head, and the smell unbearable. A mix of ammonia and sulfur. They ran, screaming, "We saw the devil." But what they saw wasn't that. The creature looked injured. It didn't move. It just stared at them, almost as if it needed help. The girls were mocked, called crazy, until the military arrived. Soldiers blocked the area, and trucks took something away, covered in tarp. Whatever they saw, whatever they felt, the military took seriously. And what followed was a full-scale cover-up operation. Hours after the sighting, military trucks, police vehicles, and men in hazmat suits stormed the neighborhood. Locals say boxes were being loaded, soldiers were armed, streets were blocked, and helicopters circled overhead. The government called it a routine exercise. But who does drills with biohazard suits and full lockdowns? One key witness, Officer Marco Eli Cherise, was reportedly involved in capturing the creature. Days later, he fell mysteriously ill. Fever, muscle pain, a strange infection. Within 3 weeks, he died. Healthy and young, suddenly gone. Cause of death? Officially, bacterial pneumonia. But those who were there swear it was something else. And that was just one of many silenced voices. Hospital workers in Varginha began to talk, quietly. One said a gurney was rushed in, covered but with an awful smell. Another claimed the body had slimy skin and huge eyes, and that doctors were wearing full protective gear. No one signed anything, but many spoke, and a few vanished not long after. Rumors say that 2 non-human bodies were transported to Unicamp, a major research university. The doctor who allegedly performed the autopsy never spoke publicly, but reportedly he quit his job soon after. Shaken. Why? What did he see? An alien? A living being from another world? And the real question is, why were they so afraid of the truth? Soon after the incident, strange men started visiting Varginha, well-dressed, quiet, official sounding. They knocked on doors of anyone who had spoken out, claimed to be from the government, but never showed ID. They didn't ask. They ordered, "Forget what you saw." These agents drove black cars with no plates. Only at night, always right after someone new shared their story. Journalists tried to report, but stories were pulled. Local reporters admitted they were told, directly, to stop covering it. A mass erasure. A memory wipe. As if time itself was being rewritten. But Varginha didn't forget. And now, the world is remembering. For years, the Brazilian government denied anything strange happened in Varginha. They said it was just a weather balloon, that the girls saw a disabled man covered in mud, that the army was doing routine training. But the stories, the images, and the fear said otherwise. The Brazilian Air Force was formally questioned, but refused to release documents. Later, they admitted to military activity, but denied any UFO involvement. Yet radar data from that week mysteriously vanished. Internal communications? Misplaced. What really happened? Why so many lies? And who ordered the silence? As the story spread, ufologists flooded into Varginha. One of the most active was lawyer and researcher Ibirajara Rodrigues. He interviewed dozens of witnesses, collected evidence, and reached a chilling conclusion: Brazil had captured an alien and covered it up with international help. The result? Threats, isolation. Until he finally stepped back, others were also silenced. Documents disappeared. Interviews were stolen. People stopped talking. But some kept digging, and their investigations led to something even more sinister: the involvement of American agencies like the CIA. The US had been alerted, and they came to collect something, or someone. And the scariest part, they might never have left. Just days after the crash, the US ambassador arrived in Brazil. Officially, it was for routine diplomatic business, but he visited Campinas, held private, unlisted meetings with military leaders. Why would the US care so much about a small Brazilian town? Some say they came for the body. Others believe they negotiated alien tech in exchange for silence. Anonymous sources claim US military aircraft left Brazil carrying sensitive biological cargo. No press release, no media coverage, no trace. But the questions keep growing, and the truth refuses to stay buried. In 2022, American filmmaker James Fox released Moment of Contact, an investigative documentary about the Varginha case. He interviewed military officials, doctors, civilians, and researchers, many for the first time. It wasn't sensationalized. It was serious. And the takeaway? A non-human being was captured in Brazil. The film went viral. Media, podcasts, and YouTubers worldwide started talking. New witnesses came forward. People who had stayed quiet for 25 years. Now there were visual records, archived footage, matching testimonies, all aligned, all impossible to ignore. And if that much came out, what steps still hidden? The most haunting part of this story isn't the army or the cover-up. It's the eyes of the girls who saw that creature. Decades later, they still speak with trembling voices. They never sought fame, never cashed in. They just carry the trauma of something no science could explain. Lilian, Valkyria, and Katia remember every detail. Same descriptions, same emotions. They say it wasn't an animal, not a man, it was an alien. And the most bizarre part, they didn't just feel fear. They felt empathy, like the being wasn't evil, like it was scared, left behind. And maybe it was asking for help. Unconfirmed reports say one of the beings didn't die. It was captured alive, taken to a secret facility, hospital, military lab, no one knows. But some claim to have seen it alive, contained, sedated, monitored. Even more disturbing, doctors were allegedly trying to communicate with it. Some believe it wasn't just a creature. It was intelligent, a biological entity with advanced cognitive ability, which is why they kept it quiet. This wasn't just about a body, it was about a mind, possibly a consciousness, and maybe one smarter than ours. But if it lived, where is it now? Varginha wasn't unique. Similar cases happened in Peru, Russia, Zimbabwe. Beings falling from the sky, captured, hidden. Why do these stories repeat? Why do governments always step in, shut it down, and vanish the evidence? Are we looking at a global pattern or a coordinated protocol? Some researchers believe there's an unspoken pact: retrieve, study, conceal. Not because they don't know what UFOs are, but because they do. And they're terrified of what the truth might do to us. Collapse religion, shake economies, rewrite history. So they hide it. But patterns become proof once you stop calling them coincidences. For years, Varginha was mocked, called an urban legend, but little by little, other nations started to take it seriously. Foreign media treated it as one of the best documented UFO cases in history. International experts arrived, and people started asking, why is Brazil hiding this? While Brazilian media laughed it off, others connected the dots. Sightings, military cover-ups, censored files. What seemed like a small-town myth became part of a global puzzle, a network of fear and silence that spans continents. And what if Brazil is a key piece in that hidden web? Young people, born long after 1996, are now digging through files, watching documentaries, interviewing witnesses. YouTube channels, podcasts, and online forums are reviving Varginha with bold questions. Why was there no real investigation? Why are the files still classified? Who's really responsible? This new generation doesn't blindly trust the news. They want evidence. They want to connect the dots. Something fell. Someone saw. Someone lied. And now, more than ever, the story is rising again through voices that won't take silence as an answer. Because what they uncover might change everything we know about aliens. If a being was captured in 1996, how many other incidents were hidden? How many before? How many after? Varginha might be the one case that slipped through. That couldn't be contained. But how many others were erased without a trace? Some say Varginha was a crack in the wall, a moment when the truth almost got out, but maybe it did. In whispers, in buried files, in eyes that saw and were forced to forget, because when it comes to aliens, the real story goes far deeper than we're told. And maybe, just maybe, Varginha isn't sussed over yet. If all this really happened, what else are they hiding from us? What if this creature wasn't the first and won't be the last? What if contact already happened and you were never meant to know? How long will we live as spectators while they play God behind the curtain? The truth may be terrifying. It may even be dangerous, but ignoring it is worse. If this content made sense to you, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and share this with someone who also deserves to know the truth.